Without a doubt, the Ezio trilogy has been the peak of Assassin's Creed, from Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood within the Italian Renaissance, to the underrated Assassin's Creed Revelations within the Ottoman Empire, subsequently wrapping up both of the stories of the two beloved protagonists Ezio and Altair. Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood has always stood out in the trilogy, let alone the series, for the general public as the greatest Assassin's Creed games ever made. But after going back to replay in recent times alongside the rest of the trilogy, Assassin's Creed Revelations has been criminally undervalued for years, and in this video I'm going to explain why Assassin's Creed Revelations was the epitome of a masterpiece. Assassin's Creed Revelations was released in the year 2011, going in already with much anticipation due to the heartfelt and warming trailer that was made. It was the fourth major installment in the Assassin's Creed series, continuing and concluding the stories of two beloved protagonists, Ezio and Altair. The Desmond storyline also continues and wouldn't conclude until the following game, Assassin's Creed 3. The main plot of the story commences as an aged and older Ezio sails to Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, in 1511, during the ongoing rise of the Ottoman Empire, set out to find 5 keys needed to unlock a vault, which was built over 3 centuries ago by the protagonist of the first AC installment, Altair ibn Lahad. Meanwhile, Desmond is in a comatose after being forced to kill Lucy in the AC Brotherhood. However, Desmond is put into the Animus yet this time in a safe mode, or the Black Room, in an attempt to recover his life. The main game begins with Ezio in Masyaf, on the mission to discover secrets Altair had previously discovered written by Giovanni, his late father, but Ezio finds out that Masyaf, former home to the assassins, had been taken over by the Templars. While Ezio attempts to escape, he discovers the entrance to Altair's library and noted that 5 disc-like keys were required, which have been hidden by Niccolo Polo due to the orders by Altair, as we see on later. Ezio finds out that the Templars already found one in Constantinople. Ezio then travels to Constantinople, where he met and was warmly welcomed by master assassin and leader of the Turkish guild, Yusuf Tazim.
Ezio Auditore de la. Prego.
Yusuf gave Ezio a brief tour of the city and introduced the guild to their mentor. Ezio was given a hook blade by Yusuf, which gave Ezio some enhancements in the game. We will talk about the hook blade more in this video. Ezio in the story befriends a woman named Sofia Sartor, the same woman he traveled with on the boat. A fellow Italian and book enthusiast assisted Ezio in finding these keys and eventually fell in love. Ezio discovered the first key location in Sofia's shop into the Yerebatan cistern, along with finding a tome and a book map, which led to more key locations. Meanwhile, Constantinople falls into chaos during the rising conflicts between Prince Ahmet and Selim. Suleiman reveals to Ezio that he is an Ottoman prince and suspects that Templars are to blame for the conflicts, and a man named by Tariq Barleti was suspected to be behind the attack of Suleiman. Ezio also learns about a man named Manuel Palaiologos, and he had Templar support and is attempting to revamp the Byzantine Empire by overthrowing the Ottomans. Ezio relives Altair's memory with the use of the first key, showcasing Altair's heroics by saving Masyaf from a traitor in 1190. The following keys that Ezio collects reveals Al-Mualim's death and Abbas's corruption by the Apple of Eden. The third key reveals Altair at 63, finding out his youngest son Seth was killed and went to Masyaf to confront Abbas with his wife Maria. The fourth key shows an Altair in 1247, 83 years old, with the help of assassins who were fed up with Abbas, regained power, killing Abbas with the hidden gun.
Mentor, welcome. Shh. You don't want to get him killed.
You have wasted your life staring into that apple, dreaming of your own glory.
That is true, Abbas. I learned many things from the apple. Of life and death, of the past and the future. Let me show you.
I can never forgive you, Altair. The lies you told about my family, my father, the humiliation I suffered.
They were not lies, Abbas. I was 10 years old when your father came to see me. He was in tears, begging to be forgiven for betraying my family. Then he cut his own throat. I watched his life ebb away at my feet. I will never forget that image.
No!
But he was not a coward, Abbas. He reclaimed his honor.
I hope there is another life after this one. Then I will see him and know the truth of his final days. And when it is your time, we will find you. And then there will be no doubts.
In continuation with the story, Suleiman requests Ezio to assassinate Tariq. However, Tariq reveals in his dying moments that his forces were going to ambush Manuel after gaining his trust and favor. He also tells Ezio the location of the Templars in Cappadocia. Ezio in 1512 arrives at Cappadocia with Piri Reis after destroying the Great Chain and met Dilara, who was captured and held by Palaiologos' partner, Shahkulu. After rescuing Dilara, they rescued one of Dilara's men who was going to be beaten publicly by Shahkulu. Ezio assassinated Shahkulu and then infiltrated the city's armory, causing an explosion to distract and draw out Manuel. Ezio chased Manuel and eventually assassinated him and obtained the last key. However, Prince Ahmet was seen on a boat with Byzantines and threatened to capture Sofia Sartor. Ezio escaped the burning Cappadocia and relived the fifth and final key of Altair's life, which showed Altair a 92 in Masyaf, guided Niccolo and Maffeo Polo, and gave him a codex as a gift. Altair gave Niccolo the keys and asked for them to be hidden until the time is right. On the return to Constantinople, Ezio returned to Sofia's shop where he discovered a pool of assassins and his friend Yusuf dead. An infuriated Ezio went to the harbor of Theodosius with many assassin apprentices. Ezio rushed towards Ahmet ready to kill him, but avoids that and asks for Sofia's location. Ahmet agreed to give Sofia in return for the Masyaf keys at the Galata Tower. Suleiman then wants his uncle's ambitions to be stopped without killing him. Ezio at the Galata Tower, in the position to trade, was pressured to give Ahmet the keys after seeing Sofia hanging from the tower. Upon reaching, Ezio finds out that it was a decoy Sofia and the real Sofia was hanging from a tree. Ezio and Sofia then chased Ahmet to the path of Masyaf, and upon their carriage falling, Ezio and Ahmet fight in one of the coolest segments of the game. Ezio retrieves the keys from Ahmet and suddenly Selim arrives with an army of Ottoman guards and janissaries. Selim murdered Ahmet by pushing him down the mountain and ordered Ezio to leave. Ezio and Sofia arrived at Masyaf, explaining to Sofia about the creed and its purpose, simultaneously reflecting about his life and choices as an assassin. Ezio arrived at the door with the keys and went in alone, finding the remnants of legendary assassin Altair ibn Lahad with a final key in hand, making for one of the gaming's saddest moments in history. Ezio subsequently went to the pedestal where the Apple of Eden was hidden, but he thought it was best to leave it where it was, quoting, "I have seen enough for one life."
No books, no wisdom, just you, fratello mio. Requiescat in pace, Altair.
Or Cipango, or that I dropped it into the sea.
Tell them anything to keep men away from this place. This apple must not be found. Not until the time is right.
You will stay here. I have seen enough for one life. Desmond?
He's talking to me?
I heard your name once before, Desmond. A long time ago. And now it lingers in my mind, like an image from an old dream. I do not know where you are, or by what means you can hear me. But I know you are listening. I have lived my life as best I could, not knowing its purpose, but drawn forward like a moth to a distant moon. And here at last, I discover a strange truth. That I am only a conduit for a message that eludes my understanding. Who are we, who have been so blessed to share our stories like this? To speak across centuries. Maybe you will answer all the questions I have asked. Maybe you will be the one to make all this suffering worth something in the end. Now, listen.
The game ends with Jupiter and Desmond in the Nexus, a video package of the end of the first civilization, showing Desmond the location of the Grand Temple in New York alongside Minerva and Juno, trusting Desmond to put a stop to the second catastrophe. He was then awakened from the coma alongside his father, Sean, and Rebecca, who make their way to the Grand Temple in New York.
I know what we need to do.
Assassin's Creed Revelations' story and plot was heavily filled with tension and emotion. The story concluded both Ezio and Altair's life in an exceptional setting, pulling the strings of many longtime Assassin's Creed fans. As stated, Revelations adds some new additions to the game, most notably the Hookblade, which was mentioned earlier in the video. The Hookblade was a fun tool used to facilitate traversal and supposedly compensate for Ezio's old age. The addition of ziplines made ziplining with the Hookblade enjoyable. The hook and run and other Hookblade abilities were taught us by Yusuf within minutes into the game, and gave us flashier and more elegant moves for combat, which in my opinion makes the combat aspect of the game one of the most enjoyable aspects in the series. Bomb variations and bomb crafting were also a new addition to the game that came in 15 different variations, being another integral part in combat and the story. Templar dens, which were similar to the Borgia towers from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, were added, and den defenses were added, a minigame which were optional and where Ezio can control a group of assassins from the rooftops and must fight off multiple waves of Templar soldiers and siege equipment. The city of Constantinople was one of the most beautiful settings Assassin's Creed had ever implemented, and was only fueled by a soundtrack filled with tranquility and upbeat tension. Real-life historical landmarks such as Hagia Sophia, the Grand Bazaar, the Galata Tower, and Topkapi Palace are some of the most engaging and well-known landmarks that Ubisoft mimicked in beauty, yet suiting its appropriate time period. Majority of the stuff that were added in the Brotherhood made a return to Revelations, such as recruiting assassins and leveling them up. Other side activities include Piri Reis' missions, which teach the player about the different types of bombs that can be crafted. Books also became a buyable and collectible item in the game, mainly for Ezio's love interest, Sofia. In addition, the player can also play as Desmond in the modern day, whose mind is stuck in the computerized core of the Animus known as Animus Island. The island acts as a mini hub from where Desmond can access 5 memory sequences known as Desmond's Journey. Assassin's Creed Revelations also has a DLC addition to the game called The Lost Archive, which Desmond unwillingly experiences Clay Kazmarek's memories. Assassin's Creed Revelations, by the sound of what I explained in the video, may have sounded like a masterpiece, but it never got the same reception as its predecessors achieved. Though it was still highly praised, it was grilled by the public. Game rankings at Metacritic gave the PlayStation 3 version an 80%, 80 out of 100, the Xbox 360 version gave it a 79.37% and an 80 out of 100, and the PC version 74.67% and 80 out of 100 respectively. IGN gave the game a rating of 8.5 out of 10, stating, "This is the best Assassin's Creed yet, even if that victory is claimed by an inch and not a mile. If you've been following the lives of Altair and Ezio this long, you owe it to yourself to see their last adventure." 1UP gave the game rating a B+, stating, "While Revelations lacks that one supreme improvement of standout mechanic that defined AC2 and Brotherhood each, it's still a damn fine send-off for Altair and Ezio." Many other critics ranked the game fairly to highly, and for many players, Assassin's Creed Revelations apparently didn't hit the same as AC2 and Brotherhood, often being the least favorite in the series. Despite significantly higher pre-orders than Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, the Ubisoft CEO had expected double-digit declines in the series. I did some separate research and I found out 2 separate means of information: why people loved Assassin's Creed Revelations and why it was hated, but I don't want to mainly focus on why it was loved. I want to mainly show why it was disliked by many of the public. According to GameFAQs, a user stated it has the same problem as AC1. That is, a massive enthusiasm for messing around doing slightly repetitive side quests. Also, 100% sync requirements are back, the absolute worst part of Brotherhood, and unsurprisingly the worst part of Revelations. The single city is boring. According to Steam community, a user stated, "The framing plot in Revelations makes no sense, and the Janissaries are evil bastards to fight. I disliked bomb making, so I raced through the game without using bombs at all more than a handful of times." Trusted Reviews stated, "Revelations is a good Assassin's Creed, but not up to the standard of its 2 predecessors, and while you can understand the desire to maintain the series' momentum, it leaves you feeling that it's running out of puff." A major part of the community, according to the results, just didn't feel that same magic in the other 2 games as they did in Revelations. However, I think that Revelations is criminally underrated and underappreciated, not only in the trilogy but in the series. In my opinion, it was an amazing send-off for 2 of the most important assassins in the franchise's history, and the game was very story-driven. Most of the additions that seemed to make a lot of the people mad in the community were the Janissaries, which prevented easy kill chains, but I think that it was a good ideal addition because it gave a bit more of a challenge from the easy combat flow that was in Brotherhood. In conclusion, AC Revelations concentrated on the assassin lineage and history more than anything, and was an exceptional game from start to finish. Revelations is such an underappreciated gem in the trilogy, let alone the series, and I'd suggest to anyone to replay this game and give it another try. It's basically Brotherhood copy and paste, but with some of the best additions into the game in my opinion, such as the combat, which makes the game more fun and flow. I think you're going to enjoy playing Revelations over again. Give it a try, I suggest it. It's an amazing game that you should retry, and it's a very integral part of the Assassin lineage. And I think that Assassin's Creed Revelations is quite possibly a contender for the best in the trilogy.